Hi everybody, it's Linda. I'm back with week 3 of my Dephemerember 2022 show and tell. I want to show you what I created from December 15th through the 21st, which is today. So I had to pause for a few days, right? The first few days from like the 14th through the 17th, I had to stop because I had a family Christmas party and then play a little catch up, but I'm basically caught up and I want to show you what I created. I am having such a good time, and I actually even stepped out of my comfort zone just a little bit this week with a couple of things. So let's get started. And again, this is a daily ephemera making program hosted by 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel, where you make ephemera every day in December, and I'm making 4 of each item to fill 4 winter fairy journals. So here is a sneak peek at the cover. You've seen that. I've been working on the other covers and the signatures as well behind the scenes, and I will actually be able to show you those in my final video, which will be on Christmas Day, the 25th, and I'll show you a journal. I'll show you all 4 covers. I'll show you a journal with the signatures in it and all of the ephemera in it, as well as the show and tell for days 22, 23, 24, and 25. So lofty goals, but I think I can do it. I'm having a blast. So let's talk about what I made for day 15, which was metal and a photo. Okay, where are we? Oh my goodness, this was sweet. So what I made was, I'm gonna move a few things out because I don't want it to get too overwhelmingly busy in what you're looking at here. So I'm sorry, just rearrange things a little bit. So there we go, it's a little less chaotic. So for the photo, you know, I'm making fairy journals, and my daughter, who's now 27, when she was 3, she was an angel for Christmas, and she looked a lot like a fairy. And back in the early 2000s, when I was making a lot of ATCs, artist trading cards, one of the very first artist trading cards I ever made used this little photo of her, and I turned her into more of a fairy, and I used my favorite little quote about fairies, which is from Peter Pan. And that quote is, "When the first baby laughed for the first time, the laugh broke into 1,000 pieces, and they all went skipping about, and that was the beginning of fairies." So I used this photo. I actually used a photocopy of the ATC itself, and I gave her Tim Holtz acetate fairy wings, and a little fairy wand is the metal element, a little charm there. And then what I did was I embossed the edges. So I basically just put some clear embossing powder around the outside diameter, and I used this, it's called Judykins embossing powder, and it is Diamond Sparkle is the color. So I embossed it, sorry, I was out of frame. So I embossed around the outside, and I just covered it. I covered it in a scrapbooking paper, but one that you could write on. It kind of has lines as well. So this is my daughter, Mary Grace. And she is an angel / fairy. Not sure there's a huge difference between angels and fairies. I know there is some, for sure, but okay. That's the first day. And then for day 16, packaging and an index card booklet. So this is what I made. I made 4 of them. I'll show you each one. So I took 3 index cards for each little booklet. I actually sewed them together using a pamphlet stitch, just like a journal. And I did some stenciling on the inside and on the outside on the blank. And for that, I used this really pretty Stamperia stencil that I have. I'll credit it in the description box. I bought it on Etsy, but it's a Stamperia stencil, and it is a wonderful, just all-purpose stencil. I'll put it in the description box. And then the other prompt was packaging. So this gold, it's kind of a mustard yellow with some gold. This was packaging. And I just tore it up. It was paper packaging. And I just tore it up and used a little strip of it. I layered it with some lace, the packaging, and then I had these little, I have a little clock that plays Christmas music on the hour, so that's what you're hearing. I had found these little tags, wire rim tags, in a clearance bin, either at Michael's or Joann's, and put a little fairy bottle cap image in the center for the cover. So those are my little, and I distressed the edges, and I distressed them not only with some vintage photo, but I also distressed them with some Galaxy Gold, just an Brilliance ink pad, just to add a little touch of gold to bring out the gold in the rest of the booklet. So I made this one. There's 2 different fairy images that I used. I used this one, so there's 2 of those, 2 of these. Otherwise, they're pretty identical, other than the fact that there's 2 different images. Okay, so that's my creation for the day 16, which was packaging in an index card booklet. Day 17 was rust and a bookmark. And this was the first time I wasn't working ahead a little bit. So Louisa offered this freebie on this day of this bookmark. So I didn't really have an idea that I was going with yet at the time. So I thought, why reinvent the wheel when she put out this beautiful freebie? So what I did was I just printed out, whoopsie, I just knocked that little bad boy right off there, didn't I? I'll give him a little bit of a better glue. But you can see how I made it. So we'll say I planned that. So anyway, I printed them out and folded it in half, glued the front and the back together, kind of recreated in a fussy cut kind of way the edges that are a little bit scalloped. And then they came with extra butterflies, so I embossed the extra butterflies with just my clear embossing powder. And I embossed the butterflies on the top as well. And that is pretty much it. I embossed the little butterfly just as it is on the bookmark. I didn't make him dimensional, but the top and the bottom are dimensional on all of them. And this is what the little butterfly looked like, the little cutout, and I embossed it with the clear embossing powder. So I'll glue him right back on there. So it makes it's a perfect size and very flat bookmark for the journals. So thank you, Louisa, for this beautiful digital. And then on the back, it looks like this, which is also really pretty and just in the perfect colors for my journal. So I didn't reinvent the wheel for sure. And I was very appreciative of this freebie. So that's what I made for the rust. Oh, and the rust, I didn't actually rust anything, but we're going to say the rust is the color rust, because that's a lot of the color of the butterflies. They're like a rust and an orange, if you consider rust a color as well as a an element on metal. Okay, so there's that one. And then moving on to the handmade stencil and the notepad. Now you can probably tell that these are, I had my family party, so I had to do some catch up. So I took a couple of these prompts very, very literally, and they are as simple as pie. So this is my handmade stencil. If you might recognize this as it has a couple different names. You can call it sequin waste. You can call it punchinella. But it is basically the stencil that is left behind when sequins are made. And you can buy it in rolls. But I have always used this as a stencil for polka dots. And you can use it on its own as a decorative element or trim. So what I did was I just attached it to some little pink notepad paper, and I'm going to tuck this into one of the pockets of the journal. So I didn't make a stencil, but this is kind of what you can use as a handmade stencil. And honestly, if you had this in your journal, you could take this off of here and use it. Use this piece as a polka dot stencil if you wanted to. But I thought it looked fun and kind of whimsical, just kind of like this in the journal. So very simple. But it'll be cute in the journal, I think. So then on day 19 is fabric and a page tab. So on this, for this one, I did two things. I did a fabric flip, because I do a fabric flip in each one of my journals. I just always have. I just love that fabric element. You can journal underneath it. You can remove it and use it as decor in the journal. You can just use it as, you know, a place to rest your eyes and to feel and to enjoy as just a textural element in your journals. But I love a fabric flip. So basically what I did was I took since I have not sewn the signatures in yet, each one of the books has, or each one of the journals has a page from a vintage gardening book. So I just took a piece of this beautifully embroidered mustard yellow fabric, and I cut it to size, and I turned it over the page, and I just did a simple stitch to stitch it on the top. I intentionally made it kind of just wonky and messy and whimsical. So that's the one, and each piece is different because it has different flowers from a different area of the fabric that was used. And some of them, as I said, are a little wonky, but I think it just adds to the charm and the whimsy of the page. And then each one was turned over, so there is even a little decorative element on the inside. That's the second one. Here's the third one. And the inside. And here is the fourth one. I just love this fabric, and I've been really excited to use it. So this one just has a little bit of a turnover there at the top. But I love this. I was just real happy with the way it turned out. So this is fabric, but then also I made a fabric tab. So the actual prompts were fabric and a page tab. So that was my fabric, but then I also made fabric page tabs. So I took a page. Each of the fairy journals is going to have 2 pages that actually came from the Cicely Mary Barker complete book of the flower fairies. And so what I did was I had ordered a pack of Kantha quilt pieces. They're just all little bits and bobs quilt pieces. They look kind of like this. It came with, I don't know, a whole envelope full, and I will credit the shop that I got them from. And I just cut pieces off of them. It is what I used for the flowers that are going to be on the top corner of each of the covers. And so then I carried it through and made a page tab. So each of the page tabs is different. The fabric is different, so I tried to choose one that kind of coordinated with the color of the fairies on the page. So there's this one that has greens and purples, and I just sewed them on the page just with a zigzag stitch. This one is a little more brightly colored, and I love this little flower pattern on there. So there's 2. Here's 3. And the back side of that one. Hope you can see these. Hope I'm showing you adequately. And then this one. And I love the back of that one. They're all different, so they're kind of a surprise. But I really love working with them. They're very whimsical, and they're very textural, and I love how they look on sticking out of a journal page. Okay, so that is my fabric and page tab day. And then grunge and a snippet strip. Okay, so this is another little story. So what I wanted to do is put the snippet strips on a grungy page for this prompt. So what I did was I took one of the pieces of the coffee dyed paper from each of the signatures, and I totally distressed the edges. And what I used was a little tool that we all have in our drawers, right? I just used a little serrated knife, and I just scratched those babies up and made cuts. And some of them spontaneously tore. So I got this idea from a video that I watched, and I will credit it in the description box. I can't remember the name of her channel off the top of my head, but I will credit it. And so I just distressed, and then I also have made this distressed Scotch tape. And I got that idea from, is it Vintage Ephemera's Garden, or Ephemera's Vintage Garden maybe? And I'll credit that video too. And this is, let me show you my tape. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it because of the glare, but it's basically Scotch tape that I put on this piece of acetate, and then I took my alcohol ink. This is the Tim Holtz Ranger in Mushroom, and I just drizzled it along there, and I just took a little cosmetic sponge and just kind of dabbed. And I also use this color too. This is Susan Pickering something Pinata Colors, and it's Havana Brown, and it created this more orangey yellow. Here you can see it maybe a little better against my skin color. But I kind of wanted it to be more of a brown, and the mushroom color was more of the brown I was looking for. So that's how I made this old Scotch tape. So it just looks like something that you found in the middle of the street. So I distressed it, And then I cut these. I have a long snippet that I wanted to use for these journals, and so I cut the pieces. But then I wondered if by distressing the pages, if I weakened it at all. So I haven't 100% decided that I'm going to put the snippet roll onto the grungy paper. I probably will, because I kind of do like the contrast of the grunge and the sweet snippets. And these fabric snippets, I have to show you each one because one's prettier than the next. I don't know how well you can see. There's a fourth one down here too. And these were part of one long snippet that I purchased from an Etsy shop called ArtbyLisaJane. She's in the UK. And this one I had to add a couple things to myself. This one might have come off of a different one, I'm not sure. But it was more, I didn't have much on it, so I added some of my own embellishments to it. But these are just as they were made by ArtbyLisaJane, and I will put her shop in the description box. I'm telling you, this lady makes the prettiest items. I mean, look at these delicious fabrics and appliques and little bits of embroidery and such that she uses. I do make my own snippets, but I could not resist these. And for these colorful fairy journals, I really wanted to use these, even though I'm trying to make all of the ephemera. But I thought if I made the distressed grungy background that, and they do really look cool on there. So that is my grungy / snippet roll, or snippet, what is it? Snippet strip. Grunge / snippet strip. So that's what I'll be putting in my journals for that prompt. And then last but not least, on day 21 is a button and a tea bag. And this was a no-brainer. This is something I really do in all of my journals. I don't know how long I'll continue to do that. I don't want people to get tired of this element in my journals, but I almost always have a decorative tea bag that I've beaded the edges and put some tea, an actual seasonal tea bag inside. And for this, I used Twining's Winter Spice tea bags. And I'm telling you, this is the most delicious tea. Oh my goodness. It's sweet apple and savory cinnamon, cardamom, and clove. And it smells delicious, it tastes delicious, and I love to put these in winter journals. Or a lot of times I give tea bags as thank you gifts in my Etsy, orders from my Etsy shop. So I made this little cutie patootie here, and they're all holding a wand. And it had like a little bulb at the top of the wand, so I put a button in place of the bulb. And these are stickers that I got also in an Etsy shop a couple of years ago. And I can credit these stickers too. I'll make sure she still sells them. And I will credit them in the description box as well, because they are really cute. And then as you can see, I just beaded the sides with coordinating beads based on the colors in the fairy. So I got this one and then this one. I love her. I love this color. Can you tell? Oh, I do. I love my mustard yellow, and I love it paired with pink. I mean, I love it. I just love it paired with anything because I just like that color. Okay. So these are my day 21 button / tea bag. So those are the prompts. These are my creations. I had a lot of fun making them. Thank you for watching the videos. Hopefully you'll join me for the last video, which will be on Christmas Day. And I will be, oops, I'm not, let's move it all over. Let's just hope I wasn't off this whole video. If I was, I apologize. So for my last Dephemerember video, as I said, I'll show you the last 4 days of prompts, and hopefully I will have an almost completed journal, and I'll be able to show you the covers, show you the signatures, and show you how some of the ephemera that I made looks inside of the journals. But then I will do, when the journals are completed and ready to be put in my Etsy shop, I will do a final flip through of each journal. So, because that's helpful for people when they are interested in the journals. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you are enjoying the beautiful holidays, and I will see you on Christmas Day. Bye-bye now.